Hello and welcome to Battlefront News. I have 4 pieces of news for you today. Firstly, a Frostbite free feature video was released by Battlefield on their YouTube channel showing the features of the new engine. Our second piece of news is that Star Wars Battlefront is a match made in heaven with Dice, says Patrick Soderlund. Our third piece of news is that Xbox One's cloud tech will allow it to be the premier place to play video games. And finally, our fourth piece of news is that Microsoft is to invest $700 million in a cloud data center in Des Moines, Iowa. Alright, let's get right into it. DICE released a video showing the features of their new engine, Frostbite 3. This new engine is being used in Battlefield 4, in which they show gameplay for, and Star Wars Battlefront. There's a link to the video in the description. They talk about 4 key points, which I've condensed for you. Firstly, seamless reality. Secondly, game-changing destruction. Thirdly, dynamic ocean combat. And fourthly, more immersive storytelling. The first feature they talk about is seamless reality. The developers go on to talk about the dynamic environment in which game engine Frostbite handles all natural factors to create a more immersive experience for the user. They show how all the natural objects and scenery down to the waves and the trees are actually affected by a number of natural factors, such as the trees' leaves move based on the power of the wind, and the game engine handles this. It's not just a sequence on loop, it's a dynamic and changing environment. Does this mean that we may see some form of seamless reality in Star Wars Battlefront? Will we be on, say, Camino and see the waves rise and fall in the same fashion on everyone's screen? Will we be able to take that into the game mode and then use this dynamic environment to our advantage? The second feature they talk about is game-changing destruction. They go on to compare smaller spark colliding with gigantic chunks of debris that crumble when they impact the ground. Does this mean that we'll be able to destroy the environment and watch it crumble on top of players, and on top of key areas of the map, therefore changing the way the game works and plays? They go on to talk about how the Battlefield 4 devs, the same developers that will be developing Star Wars Battlefront, are working on a new feature called Levolution. Levolution drastically changes a multiplayer map by allowing you to reshape it to your own needs. You can destroy skyscrapers and large buildings and change the game environment in which you were previously playing for your own advantage. They show a contrast between dam breaking and a building collapsing, 2 very large structures which can be destroyed in the Frostbite engine, which will change the way the game is played. Hopefully, as Levolution is a feature that the Battlefield 4 devs are currently working on, we might see it in Star Wars Battlefront, as I would love to see some form of map-changing destruction present in the game when it releases. The third feature they talk about is dynamic ocean combat. A recent feature they've been working on is networked water simulation. This allows all of the water in the map to work in synchrony with every other player. This means that on one player's screen if the wave rises, on another player's screen the wave rises as well. This allows for dynamic ocean combat, which has been shown in the Battlefield 4 game. All of the players see the same wave in the same position, meaning that the game is fair. They go on to say that you will no longer be swimming on a flat surface of water. The waves will move and they will change the position of your player based on where they move to. Hopefully this means we will see some form of ocean combat in Star Wars Battlefront, as I'd love to see the addition of water vehicles. Finally, the last feature they talk about is more immersive storytelling. Hopefully this is true, because in Star Wars Battlefront there was always a lack of a compelling storyline. It always switched between a simple clone, there was never a main character that you could follow. They go on to talk about the priority of character detail and the importance of eyes, although I didn't really think this was applicable to Battlefront being as everyone wears a visor. They went to say that the detail on characters is more powerful than other engines, and that they can add more detail by collaborating with other teams around the world. Perhaps this is DICE Los Angeles chipping in with its supporting role. They go on to talk about the diversity of the Frostbite engine by saying it can do racing games, strategy games and RPGs. This just goes to show that the reboot of Battlefront would fit nicely with Frostbite 3 due to its versatility. That's our first piece of news done. If you want to go and check out that video, a link is in the description, and I trust you, it's very worth checking it out. This is quite possibly what Star Wars Battlefront will play like. Our second piece of news comes from Patrick Soderlund in an interview with CVG. Speaking with CVG about EA's E3 conference lineup, Soderlund said, "We showed Titanfall, a brand new IP from Respawn Entertainment, Mirror's Edge, which is a beloved return for many people, and Star Wars Battlefront, which I think is a match made in heaven. DICE building that game feels right." Soderlund goes on to say that Star Wars Battlefront was almost not happening, and that it was just something as boring as resources and availability. The DICE guys Carl Magnus Troderson and Patrick Bach were talking, and I told them we were in dialogues with Disney over this deal, and they just looked at me and said, "Why haven't you spoken to us? What are you doing? We want to make Battlefront." This is great news, guys. The DICE developers really do want to make Battlefront, and this is not just a licensed game. They go on here, DICE is a very particular place, and we're very proud of what they do, and you don't really tell them what to do. I didn't anticipate them wanting to work on a license. They've always been new or their own IP. but they were just like, we would kill to make this game, and the whole studio started talking about it like, please give us this game. This is where Frank Soderlund goes to say that he called Frank Gibbo, the president of EA Labels, and he said, I realised we had something here. If they want it that badly, then the game will be freaking awesome. We have to figure it out, so we figured it out. We got them the game, and it was that simple. They begged to do it, the opportunity was there, and that's exactly why you'll see this game that will be what it needs to be. Soderlund stated that Patrick Bach and the team at Dice's Stockholm base is working on the project. He adds, when it comes to the actual game, the approach we're going to take is it's a rebirth of the brand. It is Star Wars Battlefront done the Dice way. This is why it is not Star Wars Battlefront 3, guys. It is a rebrand. It's done the Dice way, but given how Battlefield is very similar to Star Wars Battlefront, I do believe it's going to be pretty much the same anyway. Another piece of news here is that DICE is actually willing to make the game, which is good news because we'll see some enthusiastic developers, hopefully adding lots of cool new features which we haven't seen in previous Battlefront games. We also learned there, when Patrick Bach stated that the DICE Stockholm base is working on the project, that Star Wars Battlefront is currently in development. It's not sitting on the sidelines waiting for the release of Battlefield 4, it is currently in development. Whether that be a concept stage, a storyboard stage, maybe it's even going through the coding development as we speak. Who knows, only time will tell with that piece of news. Afraid that's all the news I could glean from that article, but you can take a look at the article yourself as I keep all the sources in the description for you guys so that you can read the news for yourselves and see what you think about it. Our third piece of news comes from an article on VG 24/7 that states Xbox One's cloud tech will make it the best place to play games. Microsoft's Director of Marketing, Craig Flanagan, said that Xbox One's cloud functionality will make it the premier place to play games in the next generation. Speaking with MP First, Craig Flanagan talked about online gaming on Xbox One. He said that the cloud is a really important part of it. Xbox One is going to be the best place to play games, and the big reason for that is that the games come alive because of the cloud. So the game that you get on that first day is going to change. It's going to be a different game. It's going to evolve, have living worlds that change, worlds that persist. What we're doing is we're giving developers a palette so that they can create games they wouldn't be able to create anywhere else. He goes on to say, from an Xbox Live standpoint, you'll have the ability to play your games anywhere. Anywhere you go, you can sign in and all your games are there. With Game DVR and Upload Studio, you'll have the ability to capture your multiplayer moments, good or bad, epic wins or epic fails. Edit them up and share them out. Those are the social features of the cloud and what's going to make the game different and only available on Xbox One. So what we can learn from this article, guys, is that the game is going to change from day one. It's going to be a different game every day. Perhaps not for every game such as Call of Duty, but maybe for games which have a persistent environment it will constantly be changing. We also learned that on Xbox Live the developers have a palette to create whatever they want. This is great news for Star Wars Battlefront because I really don't want them to have any restrictions with how far this game can go. Finally, our last, however small piece of news is that Microsoft is to invest $700 million in a new data center to support cloud service and Xbox Live. Microsoft has confirmed that it will invest $700 million in a new data center in Des Moines, Iowa. The facility will support the growing demand for Microsoft's cloud computing services and Xbox Live moving forward, a Microsoft exec has stated. This is great news, guys. This is just one of many new data centers that are going to be built to support the cloud service, and if they're spending $700 million already on just one data center, imagine how reliable and well structured the coverage of this framework could be. I'm sure if the Battlefield devs want to make something absolutely incredible, they will take Battlefront towards cloud computing. I'm afraid that's all the news for today, guys. I'm going to do a channel update in a second, and a quick recap now. To start off, our first piece of news is that DICE has released a Frostbite 3 features video on the Battlefield YouTube channel. You can check it out in a link in the description. Our second piece of news is that Star Wars Battlefront and DICE is a match made in heaven, said Patrick Soderlund. Our third piece of news is that Xbox One's cloud tech will make Xbox One the premier place for gaming, says a Microsoft executive. And finally, our last piece of news was that Microsoft is to invest $700 million in a new data center to support cloud service and Xbox Live. Now to do a quick channel update, for the next 16 days I'm going to be working on a friend's channel, David's at Destiny Updates, because he's going to be on holiday visiting family. Now if you came and subscribed from David's channel, thank you very much, thank you for showing your support. And to anyone else who's subscribed so far, it means a hell of a lot to me. Thank you very much. I'm going to be doing a full channel update soon, going over how far this channel's come and how quickly it's grown. But for now I'm just going to reassure you that even though I will be working on Destiny Updates, and although that is a much bigger channel than mine, I will not be stopping work on this channel. When news does come out, a news video will be done to keep you guys up to date. The news videos may be slightly faster than usual because I will have a much higher workload for the next 2 weeks, but you don't need to worry about it because you'll still get the latest news on time. And to anyone from David's channel, I will try and keep the updates as good a quality as David's, although I don't think anyone can match David's superiority at making news videos. That's all the news and my channel update done now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next update.